You're listening to SM Media.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the latest episode of SM Media's Countdown to Cheltenham 2025. I'm Scott McPike. It is always a pleasure to be your host. We are closing in on the big Christmas period. We've got 2 weeks today until the King George, so we are going to be all over looking ahead to the races over the next couple of weeks and covering what's been kind of happening in the big races over the weekend. It is always a pleasure to be joined by from the Scottish Daily Mail, Callum McClurkin.
Hi there, yeah, all good again. Much better punting week for me this week than it was before, probably one of my best of the year. So maybe things are settling down form book wise and able to look at things in a better light going into Christmas, and then after that, it's into the spring festival season.
Yeah, and that's that as well. You do need that kind of wee burst just before Christmas because, as I say, it does get so busy. And you just, if you've got that wee bit of form in the book, helps you a long way. But obviously, we'll get into the kind of horses that won as well over the weekend. Obviously, the horses that caught our eye. We did get one question from James Page, and it was a question with a kind of look ahead to Cheltenham 25 for a personal perspective. Where will you be watching Cheltenham 2025? Carl, we'll start with you here.
Good question. I don't know yet. Probably not abroad this year. I think
Yeah,
it might be away, quite like a cottage in Northumberland, kind of the Sea Houses
yeah,
area. Sometimes we go there and watch it. I've been in Lanzarote once to do it, and I actually remember the bar walking past when it was there as well. So yeah, but it's a good kind of experience to do. I think maybe once every now and again. You do miss things,
yeah.
particularly the Thursday. I remember missing a lot of market moves, like seeing, particularly when Envoy Allen won the Ryanair a couple of years ago. There was just massive money for it before the off from really nowhere. Oh, that's pretty significant, and it came in. First in the tunnels as well, like Stage Star as well came in, and I
Yeah, that's
quite
right. Yeah.
fancied that, and you've kind of seen it come in from tens, elevens into sixes and sevens. So I mean, that's kind of significant money moves that you really need to look out for, and can sometimes miss when doing other things on holiday, obviously. So yeah, I do like an odd year. Sometimes I work through it, sometimes I don't. I'm not quite sure yet, but I think Northumberland's looking odds on, and if not, I'll be there the week after to kind of decompress. Sometimes going after the week after it to decompress if you're
Yeah.
having a serious kind of whack at it is a pretty good idea as well. So yeah, but I mean, if you're out there for enjoyment and it's a leisure pursuit, then it's probably one of the best things you can do at Wayne Holiday. You've got it like there all day in the background, and you can flit in and out if you want to. But I think if you're seriously playing and monitoring everything for about 28 races over 4 days, and I think you do have to kind of have the brain's got to be in place between the ears all the time, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Cheltenham once in 2016, and like it was. I mean, it was amazing. Like it was genuinely like brilliant, but it's very, very expensive, and that's before you've even put a bet on. Like, so that kind of side as well. You kind of need to wonder, is that something you want to do every year? My dad used to do it from 1993, I think, to 2009, and they kind of stopped just for the simple reason that it was expensive. You weren't able to kind of deal with market moves. It's obviously changed a lot now. We can Betfair and things like that. Where like I don't think Betfair would even work, even abroad. I remember the year. Remember Sam Crow won the Ballymore? Was that 2017, 2018 maybe? Like there was a full day where I just wasn't able to get a winner at all. I did sad Sam Crow in the morning, presenting Percy. Remember was backed off the boards,
Mhm.
and then Altior obviously came in, and I can't remember what one after that I would have been on as well. And it was just have I told you the story about the last time I was abroad for Cheltenham was 2020?
I think so. No?
Have I not told you this? Right, okay. So me and my current partner now, fiance, our first holiday was for Cheltenham 2020 to Benidorm. And I had a great week, punting wise. Everything was, I think it was the first time I'd started doing any Cheltenham videos before obviously
Mm.
we'd kind of partnered up. And it was, Ante-Post book was great that year. Had Imperial Aura, Simply the Bets. Lisnagar Oscar, I managed to get in at 50s, and I think Arimax won the Boodles as well. So a great Ante-Post book getting in, but I was missing things. Something just wasn't feeling right all week, and got to the Gold Cup and sitting in a bar in Benidorm on the Friday. Do you remember that was the day where all the football get cancelled for the kind of remainder of the season? That was
Yes.
right at the start of
Yeah.
a thing called the COVID pandemic. And I remember the owner of the pub coming out to me just after the Gold Cup to say, "You better get back to your hotel. They're going to shut down they're going to put a nationwide lockdown in Spain." I was like, "Okay, right, that's a bit of a fright." Missed the Grand Annual and the Martin Pipe, where I definitely would have backed both winners. I was just saw the markets. Those, I think it was it Chosen Mate. I think I had in that fell. I can't remember what won both races, but I knew I was kind of leaning towards them, so I didn't get them on. And then we get sent home on the Sunday, and I was like, I don't think that's the sort of thing I want to do anymore. I quite like being in my own house, as I say, like doing things before it, getting a wee idea, and then you've got you're in front of it kind of thing. I like that the idea I've kind of got now of just the kind of set up in the house. I think it's going to work for me for the remainder. But yeah, that would kind of put me off going to Cheltenham. I don't want to ever be abroad, particularly that week of the year when a global pandemic's about to start. That was a
Yeah.
warning sign.
It's always there's a lot of Irish bars,
Yeah,
Lanzarote, and things like that, and it's usually lands on St Patrick's Day as well.
yeah,
So I think the week we were out there, it was kind of I think Ireland won the Six Nations Grand Slam as well,
yeah.
which
That's right. Yeah.
was on at the time as well. So I backed that. Galloping the shot won the Gold Cup, and they obviously won everything of genuine significance. So yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things. Every few years, I think would be pretty good.
Yeah,
Maybe like once in a kind of 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. It's also cheaper over there as well,
yeah,
rather than
far
being
cheaper. Yeah,
at Cheltenham. And the customer experience, although they are trying to get back a little bit, I think. But the only time I go, I've had a serious Ante-Post book, and at the moment, Ante-Post markets, it's pretty hard to kind of dive in, get involved too far out now. And I think a lot more people are probably going to be playing in the day because
yeah,
it can be almost as informative, and you get better prices. I think 88% of horses went off bigger on the day than they did at January time,
mhm.
8 weeks beforehand. So yeah, I think you might again. It's different people, different ways of doing it. If you've got a niche thing going on, then stick with it. And if you love the sport, you're gonna find a way to watch it anywhere, no matter where you are. So yeah, it's all fun and games.
Yeah, and in terms of Ante-Post, I do have a couple of picks this week. I know you're going to have one next week, so that'll be worth tuning in for. But we will get into the big races over the weekend with two Grade 1s at Sandown and then a big informative race at Cork on Sunday. We'll start with the Henry VIII chase, and Lode de Sud put himself firmly in the Arkle mix with victory in the Henry VIII. Obviously, won at 8-11, now into 11-2 for the Arkle. I don't think he was as fluent jumping wise as he was at Cheltenham the last day, but I think he won it well enough. I don't think conditions were suitable at all. I think the kind of race was run to suit. Load of Sud, were you impressed? And do you think he's a player in March?
Yeah, I think it was fine, and I think he's got a chance. And he's probably the best British 2 mile novice by some way this season. Um, it was pretty workmanlike, but I think nothing would be flashing. Pretty near bottomless ground at Sandown. Two Elliott horses to beat. I'm not a down the memory lane fan anyway, and I wasn't surprised when he was out the back and took the huff because I think that's what he's kind of like when
Yeah,
it's round. I was surprised that they ran him. And touch me not, he's usually a good jumper, ploughed through one, and he's only been beaten 4 lengths at the line, and Ludus has kind of been all out to do it. But even though the ground was unsuitable, it probably suited him the best because the other one, Soul Icon's a complete summer horse. So yeah, it was hard work. Would have cut him for the Arkle market? No, on the back of that. But it's a Grade 1. He's won it. He's 6, 7, 8 to 1. When I think he should probably be 10s, 11s, 12s poked. He's one of many horses at the moment that I would not be rushing to back, but I wouldn't be dismissing at all.
it's obviously the kind of that point now where there's a lot of time between now and March. The Skeltons have said they will put one more run into him. I don't know where that will be. Is it that potential? Is it Warwick? I think they do. Is that kind of
Warwick, yeah.
Kingmaker? Yeah, I think that's where he goes. And then
I think that's the kind of main option that they're looking at.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe get more experience. And Warwick is a pretty stringent jumping test as well. As I said, it's back left-handed.
That was what one Jonbon
Yeah, he kind of fell in against Calico in a match race
Yeah,
there
that's right, yeah.
one year. It's a sharper test. It's more akin to an Arkle test that he excelled in at Cheltenham in his first start. So yeah, it showed that he can get down dirty and grind and find, and he will be a suitable stayer. And it depends on the makeup of the race. But if we've got exuberant front runners that could set it up for him, then yeah, he's not without a chance, because he will be more effective in better ground, or he could be seen to a bit better effect. Thing is, that was a really hard, taxing race, and you do wonder if it's maybe left a small mark or something to overcome for him physically. I think he's hardy enough. He was quite hardy enough in the spring, backing up runs off his mark, and even though he didn't really win, he still ran pretty credibly towards the end of the season anyway. So I think he's hardy enough to deal with it. I think you'll see him in better light in better ground, and maybe a better race. I don't think he advances claims much, but I don't think he harmed them either. So yeah, he's one of each way player. I mean, I still think that he's kind of, if it's a weak looking open Arkle like an Edwardstone year, I think he'd win it. But if there is something vintage from Ireland that comes over, like a Ballyburn that proves his effectiveness at 2 mile, maybe a Mansborough, the door's still open for Sortino to go this way.
Mm-hmm.
He would look all of a sudden, fairly vulnerable. But he's there. He's going to take his chance, and if 8's is just about an each way price for some people, but it's getting a little bit skinny for me. I think he's more of a kind of 10-12 to 1 chance rather than 6-7-8 to 1.
Yeah, as that, I think it's always going to be a case with, particularly when the British Challenge isn't that big. I think he is the only one at the moment you would say is anywhere close to being that Arkle contender. You just imagine the Irish will get something better, possibly, but I don't think. I mean, Ballyburn would toss him over hurdles, to be honest. So I think it would likely be the same over fences if they're both kind of the similar rating as they were over hurdles. So I would say I just think I think he's a player in the Arkle. I don't think that I think he's definitely got a chance in the Arkle, but I would always just think there's maybe going to be an Irish horse better than him. But that's no knocking him. That's just the kind of way that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd imagine Firefox is a good stone better than those two.
Same way in the pocket. Even thinking even if Atlantique was maybe to go down this route, I would still probably say he's better than Load of Sud. That's kind of been a map.
He might be better than Atlantique.
Well, we'll maybe save Atlantique for later. Let's move into the Tingle Creek. Jonbon moved into 9-4 favourite for the Champion Chase. Went off 8-13, which I thought was a really, really good price at that time. Yes. Where are we at here? Because he did make a couple of mistakes, but I think it was very, very efficient. And I think it was exactly what we wanted him to do and what I think he needed to do to beat the top of the Champion Chase market.
I think he's maturing as a racehorse, isn't he? He's some different opponents to beat. He beat them comfortably enough. And again, a bit like, maybe not quite to the degree of Loud Sud. When you were on him, you weren't really panicking at any point, to be honest. He gets in a tight at his fences, but he's really smart and he's nimble. He doesn't really lose a lot of ground over them. I think he's maturing a lot, and I think he is getting better. I think that's one of his better performances now. Whether Sandown suits him more, it's a bit more a galloping test. It suits his race style a bit better than Cheltenham. Yeah, that's in the back of his doubt that he's probably half a stone better around there than he is at Cheltenham. But he might have that margin to work with come Cheltenham time anyway, because I think there's signs that he's a more rounded individual and be harnessing his energy a little bit better. And, things are starting to align for him. He's at the right age. Is this his year? It's not quite happened for him before. Rivals have maybe got a little bit to prove coming out of open company. Age not on their side. Not a great deal else to beat. And that division, the GPR1, Quilixios, it's looking a little bit better than it did at the time of last year. The Arkle, Gaelic Warrior Blitzen, but there has been good horses in behind that have run really well since the Jello and the Peterborough Chase afterwards. Those this type of horses. GPR1 won the Holden Cup in good style, and he was a solid third in ground that he didn't like. And Quilixios is won well at Nice subsequently and took reasonably high rank in the market over the Arkle trip last year. So he's beaten the right horses again. It'd be interesting to see if Edelson stood up to see where he would have finished. He'd probably been third. I think he might have been battling it second with Quilixios because he wasn't being asked a question at the time and he was going reasonably well. But he put them to bed well. He gets on with Nico de Boinville brilliantly. And, he just likes reasonably prominent tactics. I think they got it wrong in the Arkle when they ran there. I think they were a bit too passive and mindful of others around them. They didn't want to get up a pace battle with Dynamo that day, but they just allowed El Fabio to kind of just come and pick his pocket quite comfortably. Didn't really have time to react. While this looks like a horse that could get 2.5 pretty comfortably. I think he needs to be ridden fairly handy and fairly aggressively to be seen to best effect because he does like to battle. He would. I mean, that's what Nicky Henderson was kind of saying about him. That he does love a scrap. If it does become a grind, like he did last year in bad ground, he would have devoured likes of Captain Guinness probably up the hill and Gentleman to me. So yeah, I mean, I think he's borderline improving. I think he's mid 160s. I think that was up there with his best. Beat the right horses again, and yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to. I think it'd have to be more kind of towards his camp after this week than you would be before.
Is it just a case of though? Like I've got his record up here: 19 runs, 16 wins, 8 Grade 1 victories. But all 3 of his defeats have come at Cheltenham. He's won £1 million in prize money. Is it just a case of we know how good the horse is, but there is a slight doubt of how he performs around Cheltenham?
Yeah, there is. I mean, that's just his record. But in the Supreme, he beat Everton apart from Coach Chanel as a generational talent. The Arkle, I think tactically they got it wrong. And the other defeat at Cheltenham, he made one horrendous mistake that would have normally seen him pulled up, and he's only been beaten by the smallest of margins at the line. So if it wasn't for that, he'd be pretty flawless, and he's usually pretty consistent, and he wins races, and you can never really undervalue the value of just keep winning in this game. He's got every chance. It's just whether. He's got 2 horses to beat in Gaelic Warrior and Energumene. Realistically, he's got to get there in decent condition. That doubt will always be there, and it will be there in the run up to the festival. And if you do side with him, you're going to get better than 5-2, 9-4.
Think so, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
How shorter can he go if Gaelic Warrior and Energumene turn up?
And that's the thing as well. Like Gaelic Warrior, obviously, I think Gaelic Warrior obviously showed in the Arkle we can at round Cheltenham, but there is that glaring hole that he can go one, and that puts him off. Energumene, despite being impressive as we'll come to, still has that worry. Is he back to his best? So, like in terms of the word I'm thinking is Jonbon's a consistent one.
He's a consistent one to top, like he was at the start of the season. He's got less to prove, but he might be the kind of less sexy profile because he's not from Willie Wellens and he's not won it before around there. And Gaelic Warriors is a young up and comer that could be anything. Even though he's been around for a bit, but he could potentially be a cut above. So I think they've got to wait to see him to really have a finalised play at it. And Energumene will have his supporters because he's a 2-time champion chase winner. You just have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah, and speaking of Energumene, I think a very informative Halliway chase. Energumene obviously returned, won well, very, very impressive. I thought at the time it was, has he done that well or have others in behind not performed? But watching the race back, I think a couple have run very, very well, as we'll get into. But how good is it just to see that Energumene is back in working order?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, again, horse went out to 5-4. I mean, the odds against for the best horse in the race by some margin, even though he's coming back from a longer break than usual. But I quite like that with Willie Mullins horses coming back from longer breaks because they're going to be fit if they miss a season. They want to know where they stand with him. And he was ridden like that, positive, where the exuberance are, can he race like he used to, is the engine there? And I think there was pretty good signs until he was maybe paddling a little bit down the home straight where he was beginning to jump right, quite waywardly. It wasn't a bit right. He was running down half of the fences.
Yeah.
Intimidated Banbridge over the last, I thought, again, that kind of caused a bit of a cheap unseat. And the race was firmly in the balance. He's a length and a half down and he had the rail and he might have straightened up, and Paul Townend was reasonably confident. But it was one of those where you'd like to see it develop, to see what happened. Weights as well. It was well in at the weights. So Banbridge was giving him £10.
Yeah, Daniel Blue was giving him 3, and I think she ran a great race. She ran a great trial for the Mayor's Chase, and that.
Yeah, she was a little bit. I mean, she wanted to go forward, and
yeah,
you just couldn't go with that. And she's probably not quite a crack 2-miler, and going that pace ensures that she makes a few niggly mistakes. But I do think she's comfortably the one to beat in the Mayor's Chase. But in the winner, is he all there? I don't think he's going to improve a great deal from that effort. Fitness wise, maybe jump wise, rustiness could play a part, but I think that was him pretty much almost all out. He would have been fit her whole season off, because that's how Willie Mullins campaigns his horses. And yeah, you'd like to think it's Clarence House to see where he stands with Jonbon.
Very, very good to see.
It might not be if Gaelic Warrior disappoints at Christmas, so they might keep him at home. But yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably meet up, dust up in the Clarence House again, and go there and see where they're at. If they don't, probably stay around here, because there might be enough of a soft grade 2 again instead, and go to Cheltenham. But he acts around the festival time well. I think he would probably want softer ground again. I think he would softer ground to get through, and it was a bit sticky at Cork, but then you have to upgrade Banbridge's effort, who's a really good horse on his day when he's got conditions right, and tactically he's versatile, but ground he's not really versatile.
In terms of Banbridge, obviously, like King George has been mentioned. Like, is that kind of the target you would have for him? I know you've kind of followed him for a couple of years, and probably like you thought he was an Arkle horse. He has won Grade 1s in good ground. Is Kempton 3 miles the place for him?
Well, you'd think so. He's won a Martin Pipe, and you think he's got scope to go 3 miles, and Kempton's quick, but it's just ground. It's, I mean, that's the makeup of the King George. Spillane Tower is going to be supplemented if it's soft, and if it's good, Banbridge will run and he won't. So, I mean, you just, at the moment, you just kind of look at, you back one and not back the other on the day, because the other one won't run and the other one will have its ground. So, it gets looking that simple. This is the issue, though. His best Grade 1 performances have now come from 2-mile pace collapses off the pace.
Yeah.
And you look at a champion chase where if all the big guns start maybe taking on each other too soon, he's the one that could rattle home fast and late and potentially mug them up the hill, because he can't stay further. But that's the kind of thing of where do they go with him? Because if you don't really associate King George and then down to champion chase, or would it be Ryanair, but you just can't back him because of the ground.
Yeah.
So you have to reluctantly not touch him Ante-Post wise. I mean, and particularly now when I've been burnt once by it, when I either put him up at 14s on here and he went off 4-1, and he was beaten 9th of 11th, and I was kind of bitterly disappointed at the time, because I think, well, he can go and good to soft, but it did turn soft, and he was spinning and he was done by. But I was expecting a little bit better than that anyway. If they're taking a chance, there must have been a degree of confidence there. So it's the kind of thing. He might get away with it over a shorter trip, but again, it opens up all sorts of avenues, because the King George is the plan, and if he gets home and if he wins that, and on ratings, it's not much of a stretch if he wins that. Does he really go back to 2 miles or 2? Where do you go? What will you do with him? So he's an interesting one. As for Energumene, I think it's kind of a funny situation, Ante-Post, because I think it's a bit like Sergino, where, he's won, he's back, he can do this. But was it as good as Jonbon's performance? Probably not. And Sergino's performance wasn't as good as Lossiemouth's. And you're kind of taking a big chance here on a price, and it's been cut by 2 points. And are you any more confident that they'll win that actual race? No, I wouldn't be.
And the age thing as well, like 11.
I know 11. Go Flyer did it. It can be done because there's not a lot to take on here.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's a kind of outlier in trends there, is that he's not getting much to beat, and he's beaten them before. So he's ran. I think he's ran a perfectly acceptable race there. He's won. He jumped brilliantly, particularly at the midpoint of the race where he's kind of bumped them all off. Now they're all kind of Willie Mullins horses apart from one, and the one that was going to throw down a serious challenge to him. So again, there are question marks over the form, but if you trust your own eyes, I think you'd see that he was pretty enthusiastic. He went out in the market, suggested that there was a bit of doubt about him, but I think he answered that question pretty well. And he won't run that soon that he won't bounce from it. So there's a nice gap between there, Clarence House, and on to the Champion Chase. So yeah, he's another one where, like Lady Sud, Jonbon to a degree where I wouldn't be backing him now, but he's certainly on the shortlist.
This race was obviously overshadowed with the horrible news about Fernie Hollow. Now, Callum, obviously, I think we'll all be in agreement. I think one of those horses that, if only he'd stayed fit, I think would have accomplished a great deal in the game.
Yeah, he's one of those what-if horses of his time, isn't he? And he wasn't entirely done with until he came down either. He was running, so the process of running a very good honourable race where maybe even he was in the equation for Cheltenham March, yeah, but he won the bumper, didn't he? And he won the odd race interspersed, and yeah, talented horse. What can it mean? But he was very fragile, and I was surprised he didn't get immediate veterinary treatment after his fall, and it all kind of happened in the aftermath a little bit, because if there was one horse that you would be worried about falling to treat instantly, it would have been him.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously, thoughts with connections. Let's move into our 5 performances over the weekend. Probably not like a great deal of great performances, but I think like enough decent performances to talk about. Where are you going first for your performance of the weekend?
Jello in the Peterborough Chase was magnificent.
Okay. Yeah, it was good.
Okay, in behind might have fallen apart. Ginny's Destiny might not be the same horse. Protectorate, and I think they're probably only interested in the spring for him. But you know, Nickelback went forward. He was in the right position, picked him off, and easily, job done. Scampers away. Interested to see where they go next. The Sylvan Jaco Conti in mid-January at Kempton, the Grade 2 would be ideal. Maybe an Ascot Chase if they were that desperate. Yeah, there are options for him, and he'd be a valid Ryanair player on the account of that effort. I would think. I think he's more versatile than he's given credit for. I don't think he needs it totally bottomless. And Venetia Williams training these horses is just unbelievable. She seems to get the maximum out of them all the time. So yeah, that was the top of my list. It was pretty breathtaking the way he put it to bed. Charlie Deutsch was looking around, going, "Where are the dangers here? Where are the season dangers that are, that I'm supposed to kind of had a good £10 to find with Protectorate and things like that, and no problem at all." So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of encouragement there, and it's one for the kind of the up and comers that can really mix it in this grade now and maybe shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, I thought he was magnificent. I think as well that he's shown he can improve against, obviously beating the winner last year is enough to put you in the mix for a Ryanair, but he's obviously kind of beaten Ginny's Destiny. I think it was 9 lengths ahead of him at Cheltenham, so I think he's massively improved, and I think he can have the scope to go again. I think Venetia's got a really nice one on her hands, and a really good training performance to get him in that sort of contention. I'm going to go with a horse at Cork called Only by Night. Now, I want to save Zenta for the end for you. Okay? Let's not mention the name Zenta. I thought Only by Night was tremendous. Like, I thought the way she jumped, I thought that she was jumping very well. You can argue again, is everything in the race run to form? Probably not. It's interesting this because obviously Gavin Cromwell's got quite a strong hand in the mare's chase. He's obviously got last year's winner Limerick Lace, and I think Bride's Hills has as well. So he's got a lot of candidates for this race, but I firmly believe that Only by Night has put herself into the mix with a very, very good performance here.
Yeah, this was great. I mean, I was again back to her, and when she quickened away, it was over. Like Jello in the same day. It was just like, this is the easiest 94 winner you're ever going to have. I thought she was entitled to win that race, and I think the JP pair were grossly overrated in the market.
Nara jumped terribly, which she can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if it's got green and gold silks. If it can't jump, it can't jump.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. And she jumped she was electric at them. She had the best form coming in, I thought, from the last day. It was a really strong beginner's chase that she won, and she's definitely not slow. She's got a lot of pace, tactical speed, and does she want the mare's chase trip? That would be my concern.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
the way her form fell off a cliff in the second half of the season has to be two valid concerns that you can't take 10, 12 to 1 for a mare's chase. And she's a novice, and she also, her form fell off a cliff when she came over here at Lingfield and disappointed. So does she like travelling? Would have to be another doubt. So they've earmarked a race for her at home in January. It's a grade 2. I think that'll reveal more because I think that'll be up against Geldings as well. So it's a wonderful performance, and she's electric and she's a quick jumper. She looked like a pure 2-miler to me. She tried 2-mile 3 plus once and seemed to not stay. Looking at it back, and that would be my concern for a mare's chase. Would you fly her in an Arkle, for instance? You could do, as a novice. But yeah, I think she's mightily impressive, and she's one to win with while she's still winning. But she does need to go up a lot in the weights to be competitive with likes of Dino Blue as well. I mean, I wouldn't get overly carried away by her. But her jumping was magnificent. It was kind of like push button acceleration, wasn't it? Which was quite exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Moving into your next performance, Callum, what caught your eye?
Kit Spool again was like Amsterdam Mark II. He's just this horse from France that nobody's heard of, Willie Mullins, and Joe Donnelly buys it and kicks a 140 rated horse out the ground and Colonel Mustard. It's and like similar profile to Amsterdam. It's like, what do you do with these? Where do you go with them? The conditions race at Limerick's gone. I mean, you'd imagine Amsterdam's been earmarked to international and grade 2 like that, so he probably has to find something at home. The good thing with this guy is that he'll stay further, but again, he just tanked through the race and powerful and just looked to cut above the level that he was running against, and he just dropped in first time out as well. It's pretty frightening how the way he can just source these horses, send them out, and they can run to mid 140s doing handstands. It was a very good performance. I mean, he's another one that's going to be a sleeper in graded company. It'll be interesting to see where he goes next.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought it was a very, very taking performance. I'm going to stick with the same silks for my second one. I thought Dancing City was good. I think, again, obviously a couple of mistakes, maybe idle towards the finish, but I thought, again, for a first time out, I thought it was very, very good. I think there's a lot more to go here. I think, obviously, the race at Christmas could be maybe too soon. Don't know where they maybe go with them next, but probably in terms of a 3-mile performance. I know it was just under 3 miles. That's probably as good as we've seen so far, and with no stays.
Yeah, and it's a starting point, isn't it? And that's the whole kind of thing. You don't want them to show their hand too early, and I don't think they did that. And they've left plenty of work there in the jumping department, the fitness department to improve. And yeah, he's not a horse that I've particularly taken to in the past, but that was impressive, and it does lay down a kind of ominous classy marker
It's a marker,
for the 3-mile division down the line. So imagine he's going to improve for it. They could rush him up into Christmas. I think there's enough. There would be enough kind of time to do that. It's only beginner's chase, and he's hacked around for experience wise, and he's going to improve from it. And I think he'd be better around a left-handed galloping track like a Leopardstown rather than a Punchestown and things like that. So yeah, he's an obvious player to note.
Where's your third performance?
Probably quite similar to Dancing City, but Yasmin Devoy and the way that he jumped, pretty ordinary. But they've probably not done a lot of schooling with him. But what he did last to the line was impressive. When the engine kicked in, he just wheeled away and he hit the line hard, and that promises to be a kind of Turner's Novices Hurdle type going forward. I think pace wise, 2 miles, I think his jump might get caught out slightly. And I think just going up and trip, he's going to get better and better. And Willie Mullins indicated that. Whether they keep him 2 miles in a graded race beforehand and see, but you can just maybe see him being campaign like a kind of Ballyburn type, where it's 2 miles until the festival, and then you can really see his kind of true staying potential. Obviously, champion bumper winner, so he's got a high profile, and that was bottomless ground where he stayed on best that day. You can just see him beginning to do things similar. I don't think he's the scopiest in the world, and his jumping will have to improve on, and fitness wise as well. But again, like Dancing City, where the bare form and the bare performance, you look at it and go, is that really favourite for that division and things like that? But
5-1 for the Turners. Like,
it's stupid shot, isn't it? But
yeah.
I mean, but you can see the plan, and you can see him ending up there. Okay, to take fives right now, you're probably looking at 2-1 in the day to represent some value, but that could happen. And I think he's a bit bigger in other places as well. So but yeah, he screamed the kind of Turner's nose hurdle horse to me, and there's just so much to build on for the spring, which is what I kind of want to see. I don't want to see the finish article right now because he can be susceptible of it, and things just improve past you. He'll get much better for that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. Obviously, at the time, you were like, right, okay. You immediately see the price for Cheltenham, and you're like, he's not a 5-1 shot. Just now, there's plenty more you can look at. Kind of similar kind of thing I want to get your thoughts on, particularly with the horse after that, was the Yellow Clay. Now, he won the Grade 2, probably did what he had to do, but you saw there that it's probably a battle that he needs. It's probably a trip he needs. But I think he showed more Cheltenham-wise, I would say, the Yellow Clay than Jasmine DeVoe did. I think there's plenty more you can still look at before backing for Cheltenham. I wouldn't be mad about 21 the Yellow Clay for the ballot because he's shown to me already that that's what he needs.
Yeah, he got up final stride, didn't he? He's got this experience in the bank that would tell you Albert Bartlett. And I think that's his landmark bite, Albert Bartlett. I think other horses will outclass him and outspeed him. And
I mean, Lawler's an ace was mentioned.
by
I think he'd get beaten that. I don't think he'd win a Lawler's an ace.
Well, I don't know what he's going to be up against. If a Yasmin Devoy, maybe there goes there, and then he might be a bit vulnerable. But it's a logical place to go, graded wise. You could go there, then see where you're at, and another run would qualify for a Martin Pipe. Depends what his mark is. It's probably going to be too high anyway now, potentially after winning a Grade 2. But he's a hardly honest sort. But the thing is you would like to think that if you were on him, you'd be wanting a kind of weak renewal of a race to be on a horse like that, because horses maybe like Yasmin Devoy, Alan the Dories, who we've not seen yet, that might have done maybe a bit more beforehand, and they might improve by him a little bit. But he was 132 as a bumper horse, so he's probably talking mid 140s already. And if there's no superstar in that division, whatever he ends in come March, he's going to be a player.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to get your thoughts quickly on Al Atlantique.
Yeah, I think this is kind of what he wants, is an aggressive ride. They didn't do that in the Gallagher last year because I think they were worried that he wouldn't stay and it was too attritional, and that's exactly what happened. And Patrick Mullins strangled him out the back. That's why he's now got a tongue tie on and things like that. And then it just kind of, I think that kind of dented his confidence a bit, and things went down south a little bit in the spring where he found it too tough. But he's a chaser, and he was out there handy, and he jumped, and they used the assets of him correctly. I'm just mindful of these horses that bolt up first time out. They think, they're back, we could put them up at 20s for Cheltenham, and then they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Subsequently, and I think he could fall into that category where he can be a bit soft, and he might want things his own way, and you're not going to really get that in graded company unless you're running the Drinmore.
He's probably another one of these horses who, because the Turner's been taken out, I'm not necessarily sure.
I would run him in that. I think it's obvious. I would chance him in an Arkle.
But he would
super aggressive.
Yeah, you would need to be super aggressive, and is he going to be able to do that? And he's probably not going to be first jockey, which again I said to you off air. Like, we know probably would maybe end up in the Patrick thing, and I don't think Patrick's going to have him gung ho.
Ride him aggressively like that. You'd rather kind of stalk in a Brown advisory trip, or leave him at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's one where you have to see a bit more to find where he's level at, but Interesting, because I remember talking at the back end of last season where I think he would be a kind of aggressively ridden 2-miler that I would quite like. And it would be better for fences. And I think he was about 33, something like that. And then he got out even further after Punchestown. So he was one that I wasn't categorically dismissing because I think that would be his niche. It's just whether or not we're going to actually see that, and you'd have to be a bit doubtful.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll move into what's coming up this weekend. We have Cheltenham Friday, Saturday, obviously a December meeting. A couple of big races I wanted to touch on. Columns will be going out for myself Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously, Callum will have tips as well that we'll retweet on the channel. We'll move into the 150, and I just want to give the name of this race. I want to get your thoughts on this. The Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming soon handicap chase.
It's a film, isn't it?
It's a film. It's a Jim. I think
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's in it. Yeah, but
I haven't seen the first two. I don't want to see the third one either.
But I think we're getting a lot of Beecher horses getting rerouted here. Chianti Classical, obviously, Kim Bailey has said this is going to be a kind of very much an eye opener to where he goes maybe in the spring. Like he's in here off 157. He's 13-8. You've got King Turgeon, who obviously was favourite for the Beecher. I like Java Point in this for Henry Oliver. I think there's more under the hood here. I think obviously his performance last time out at Cheltenham was second behind Transmission. I think was a good run. I think there's a lot more to come here, and I think off a mark of 129, I think there's more to come here.
Yeah, he's each way value of the race, isn't he? You know,
Yeah.
he acts round here. I think Anti-Classical will like this more than King Turgeon, maybe. You know, regulation fences. I've been around the block. Yeah, he's got a big weight, but it's not stopped him in the past at Ascot carrying 12 stone about.
No.
If he wants to win this, I think he eminently can. A big weight in a Grand National, if he bumps up to 160 or something like that, isn't as problematic as it once maybe was with the pace they're going.
They did mention Gold Cup as well, which
Gold Cup run with a view.
Yeah.
Do the Grand National thing. Yeah, exciting horse that can go places, and he might just be able to outclass these, and the market seems to be pointing that way. Yeah, Ballygriffin Cottage could run well if it keeps drying out. But yeah, I thought it was pretty hard to look past Chianti Classical, to be honest.
I think I'm kind of in the camp where I can kind of let Chianti Classical win at 15-8, but I think Java Point could run well at a price like 15-2. I think it's a decent each way bet here, and I think so. I'm kind of just going to go with that and kind of see what happens. We'll move into the 3 o'clock. Callum, can you let me just have a wee moment here just to put up a horse that I know you're going to shake your head at? I think you know where I'm going here. I am going to put up Mr. Coffee because
he's the cross country.
Yes, because I think he ran a stormer in that race last time out, and I actually think he's actually been dropped £2 for it. He's in off 140. I think there's a lot here. I don't know much about the French horses leading the market. Stumptown could just be kind of well in off 149. I don't fancy the two Gigginstown horses at all at this time. And I kind of Fakir Dudere's an interesting one. I don't get that at all, like why they're coming here with him. But Mr. Coffee, I think it's going to be one of those days where he showed enough last time out. I don't think he kept on well, made a couple of mistakes, but I think he's in a decent position now. Dropped £2, and I think this is his day. I've said that about 30 times over the past 2 years, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if he won this, and at the moment he's my pick.
Not for 14 over fences, isn't he? But this is cross country, you know. He did run well last time.
He did run well.
And I do think that it's a discipline that can revitalise quirky horses like him, and it helps him maybe get off the mark. So no, I wouldn't categorically rule him out. I do think he's got a chance. Stumptown has back class, won over the banks at Punchestown.
Yeah,
he could take to this quite well. That race did fall apart though. This French horse comes with a better reputation than the one
Sweet
that won
David
last month, and he seems obviously well in, and the market's giving him automatic respect, and he could be a different leg to these over this discipline, and he's only 6. He's off a really low weight, and the trainer's a specialist at it, you know. And Late Night Pass won this last year, but it's now 11. Cocoa Beach Delta Work are surely weighted out of it.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah.
Arizona Cardinal, this is here because the Beecher was off, and
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of it's trial by error with Thacker, the Dury, Vanilla, Chemical Energy, and Bustleton, really. So I just think in a cross country where I'm not I've not got much interest, but
Yeah.
I think this French horse could be different level. And I'm usually wary about French form, but
Mm-hmm.
not when it comes to cross countries like this, where it's kind of hacking around marathon distances that they like and what's usually soft ground. And I think this horse might be better than Sweet David, and if he is, he wins this.
Yeah,
And
possibly too.
72 might not be too bad.
We'll have a wee word in the veteran chase. Actually, it just completely slipped my mind. Actually, that's actually quite a big race. Callum, do you remember Shan Blue, winner of the Cotto Star?
Yes.
He's in here at 6-1 now. Shake 'em up, Harry could possibly win this. There's decent horses in here like Dashwood Drasher, Eldorado Allen, Copperhead, obviously a name of the past. But Shan Blue, I think, showed a lot last time out when he was fourth at Bangor. I thought again has been one of those horses that's just been quite hard to judge. But I think at his best, I think at his best, I think he's a very, very good horse, and I think he's got a chance here.
Back in veteran company, yeah.
Yeah.
Just she disappointing last time, but he did enough after 9 months off to suggest that he still retains his ability. And he's down sufficient enough in the weights at 141 that he could be a player. She came up Harry again is probably better than this level, 10. He could probably still run with both those two. He could probably be competitive enough in a plate if right. So yeah, there's a lot of familiar names in it. I was drawn to Torren Freyd as a C&D
Okay.
form, and he ran quite well in Warwick and won. There seems to be more in the tank there. He hammered Eldorado Allen that day. Um, he's still got enthusiasm for it, and I think 2.5 miles around here should be okay for him. A bit vulnerable to something with a bit more tactical speed, and I think that's why your 2.5 miles of Shake 'em Up Harry and Shanblue, the younger legs, are at the top of the market at the moment. But yeah, it's a competitive race that I can mainly leave alone at the moment to see where the market's going with it.
Right, we'll move into Saturday. We've got the December Gold Cup, and here we've got quite a good field. Again, I don't have kind of set prices here. I can see that a few declarations. We've got Fugitive, Madara in here as well. You've got Gallo, Stage Start, El Redoto obviously won last time out. There's Grandeur Dame. I don't have much of an opinion on this just now, Calm. Is there anything that I should be kind of looking at in your eyes?
The market was pretty reasonably accurate. I actually
Yeah.
started a bit to prove off top weight, but Madara fourth and Fugitive fifth in the Paddy Power Gold Cup were blatant eye catchers, and
Yeah.
that's why they're at the top, and they should come on for it, and they could slug this out, between them. Gallo, I liked him last time. Paddy Power was second, ran his heart out. It's up a pound. Can he emulate that performance again? Maybe, because I think the new course is more suitable for him. I think he's kind of one of those horses where he's maybe weighted slightly out of this, but he's too consistent for his own good and keeps finishing second and keeps bumping up the handicap. Alred also still gets scope enough to go well again, even though he won the Paddy Power Gold Cup. He's got a chance. Gemarand of the Williams and the Yard again. He could dominate this, but from the front, from a pace angle anyway, it's what he likes to do, but maybe his form's a little bit better elsewhere than it is at Cheltenham and Ascot, something like that. Inexcelsis Deal's dangerous if he can get round with his jumping if it holds up.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting little race. I thought it was pretty hard to get away from Fugitive, who won it last year and shaped pretty well. His mark's just about competitive enough, and he likes the new course better than the old course. So yeah, between him and Madara, I think he's the one that just about edged it. I mean, it's amazing that Madara's only a 5-year-old.
I think Madara's probably the one just at the weights. I think's maybe get the
Scope.
best chance. Yeah, the scope.
Bit
We'll
more
move in.
unassuming.
Yeah, we'll move into the 3 o'clock. We've got a Grade 2 Albert Bartlett novices hurdle, obviously registered as a Bristol. Looking at this, obviously, it's hard to not want Jenny Kindless to have a Grade 2 winner here, and Skyjack Hijack is one that I've really taken to the last couple of runs. in here at 94. Obviously, they've said that Albert Bartlett is the plan in March. You've got the likes of Condor General, I thought was good last time out. Western Knight, Jet Blue, Ace of Spades. I'm not sure Excelos. I don't get. I get obviously still a novice, but I'll be astonished if he wins this. Skyjack, Hijack. You do look at the Winsty's name, but he's a very likeable horse.
Yeah, and he keeps improving, and they're taking a chance here because the rain might stay away, and it's a weak enough race. The Ken Bailey horse is unexposed, could be anything, could run well. Western Knight as well has won his last two, but you'd have to think he'd have a bit to find. Don't know much about Jet Blue from France, but he might want softer ground than he's going to get. I think Excel's running in Warwick instead of here now. So it looks a fairly straightforward ask for Skyjack Hijack, though he did go out in front 3 weeks ago at Newcastle and went pretty hard. So you do wonder if this kind of like winning streak, 6 runs, all quick back to back over 3 miles might catch up with him a little bit, and a Clondo General might come from nowhere and maybe beat him or something like that. But I think it's a weak enough race for a Grade 2, and I mean, like, everyone's going towards a shallow hurdle, but if I had a Bartlett horse that I thought was pretty good, I would be running here instead of the shallow with a view to March. I mean, like, why there's not a Potter's Charm or something in here that could win this at 47, have extra recovery time is, I find it quite hard to fathom, actually, the campaigning of some of these horses. I mean, you could have 6 of them, which is great. It's a great view, in the dusting up in the shallow and things like that. But I mean, one of them could have come here and skipped it, and you go to Doncaster for 3 miles and you're unexposed and you've not had, a big heavy scrap before spring. So it's interesting. Skyjack Highlight's right favourite. You just wonder if the schedule's going to catch up, because they were thinking of giving him a break and not going here. But they are. So the Bailey horse might be the bet against him.
I mean, I would just like to see Skyjack Hijack win. I think Ace of Spades might be quite interesting again. I don't really know. Like, obviously won that race against County Park last time out, which I thought was very, very good and looked like he needed the step up. I thought he kept on well to win that, and I think that's probably better form than what Condor Generals beat, to be honest. So I think Ace of Spades I might just play at a price, but I'd love to see Skyjack win. I always like to see Jenny Canis with a good horse.
Yeah, and another candidate is going up the Cheltenham Hill. Can you dominate round there as much as you do front runner? So there are doubts, but he's got the best form about. He's the right favourite, and yeah, it would be a good winner for the North as well if they win that.
Absolutely. Let's move into our kind of Ante-Post and tracker. We did have a couple of runs in our Ante-Post folder so far. We'll start with yours. Callum, Willie Mullins has to be on your side now, because that's another Zenta performance in the race only by night one where she does not want a fence.
This is a great thing about horse racing, is that geniuses like Willie Mullins and GP McManus can get the odd thing wrong, and idiots like me can get the odd thing right. This horse can't jump a fence. It's the 3rd time now. She backed off absolutely everything in that race only by night one. She was on the back foot constantly. She's been out jumped by everything. And the concern now is that she's lost her enthusiasm for the game full stop after that, because she wasn't bothered. She hated it by the run-in. Yeah. She went, I'm not doing this anymore, and stopped. So, hopefully they take a step back and say, look, this is quite a talented hurdle horse. Let's go this route, and maybe fling her in a handicap in the Dublin Racing Festival and see where you stand, and maybe go up the grade company. But I think surely that's the way they go now. And it was one of those good point weekends where I did have the cash out, and the cash it out, put it on her to lay her back the winner only by night, and then got back again and put her on at 66 to win for the Mayor's Hurdle. It was even better than 50s that I took out, so it worked out pretty well in the end. And we'll see what they do with her. But yeah, surely they'll see the light now. But I think it's just that problem where it's, there's so many brilliant horses that they've got that she might not kind of get the kind of attention her programme needs for her to kind of excel properly when they've got so many other irons in the fire. So that's the kind of thing. But that's what I would do with her. That's what I maintain with her, and that's the past. So yeah, I was proven right in the day yet again about her. But It's just whether that's knocked her so far back that she'll not quite be the same horse again. But I think surely hurdles is the way to go now after that.
You want to keep on your book?
Absolutely, yeah. It's in the book, without a doubt.
66 as we're going with that.
61, and again, it's the same case there. I mean, apart from Brighter Days Ahead, there's nothing in this race.
Nah.
And if you've got something in the mid-140s as a mare, you might as well take your chance because, mid-140s in a good year, you can win, and in a bad year, you can place. I mean, Lossiemouth in behind there, the second there that's now retired, Tell Me Something Girl, she runs 145.
Mm-hmm.
Zenta 143. The county hurdle was a good race last year. That's produced winners and Arco contenders and Melbourne Cup winners and things like that. So and Ebor winners. So I mean, it's that's as much depth as a Supreme did, at the moment. And I just think she's just been forgotten about by the owner and trainer a little bit in where she could possibly stand. And I think outside the obvious favourite, I think she's been by far the most interesting prospect that could potentially run in that race. And I think she's the best 33-40 to 1 outsider or higher in the whole of the Cheltenham Festival book. If it's just whether, the people that are connected with her, actually sit down, have a think, and look at the horse for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had Diva Luna, who went out on Monday as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she obviously get beat at 4:11. She get beat by a race fit horse of Noel Williams, who I think is actually probably better than what she's shown. And I wouldn't completely, she's went from 16 to 25s. I wouldn't completely dismiss Diva Luna for the simple reason that she probably needed the run. The horse that beat her, she beat comfortably at Aintree. So I do think there is an opportunity where if she'd maybe jumped the last, she'd have probably got closer. And I don't think the winner hit the last as well. So I wouldn't be like going out and saying back her again at 25s, but I wouldn't be like totally dismissing Diva Luna because I think there's more there. And it wasn't like one of those defeats where you're like, right, let's just kind of scratch her out because I think she actually showed some kind of glimpses there. She's won a grade 2. She's beat some decent mares bumper horses. She's not completely out of the mares novice at the moment. Even with a disappointing run like that, I would still say there's more. I'd still say there's more to come for Diva Luna, and I wouldn't completely rule her out.
Disappointing face value. We've not seen the race and see the result. Beat 40-11 in the race like that. It doesn't look good, but she lacked maybe a bit of tactical speed, and Ben Pauling's horses have improved for a run. Look at handstands over the weekend. We did fall, but then absolutely hacked up with confidence with a more prominent ride over a further trip. So yeah, I mean, her back form can't be ignored. She's been beaten, but she's coming back a little bit at the line. She's probably had a blow between the last and the line, and yeah, she's not entirely out of it in a division where they can all improve at different rates and knots as well. I mean, the bit in Anno Power at 33s, and she won ages ago at Harry Fry in the Yard of not been seen since. And now she's 14s now. I think that is short enough. You've got That's Nice. It's going to come out this weekend, and it's a small but a kind of warm little 3-4 runner race.
Wingman's in it as well. Yeah,
that's to whether she's got enough tactical speed for the Mares Novice hurdle trip, and I think if she does, and I think she's going to parachute near the top of the market with Maureen and be clear second favourite. So
who is due out? I heard at Christmas you will likely see Maureen at Christmas.
Yeah, and then there'll be something next week that'll come around and say, "Oh, that's not great." All of a sudden, because I think Caroline de Van Moo's got an entry Monday or something. I think Willie Mullins, JP McMahon's horse, that's highly touted. So you're going to get like with the Triumph division. Even with the Supreme division to a degree, you're going to get these new horses that are going to come out the woodwork and put their hat in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 Ante-Post picks this week, and they've both been beaten already this season. You have got a tracker horse first, though. So what's your tracker horse for the weekend?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with St. Davy's effort.
Okay.
It was third in Sandown. Same John O'Neill Yard. It was Springwell Bay, the same owners, but that was off. It was pretty warm race. The Esher to do your debut in with handstands class act jumping better. Was splendid, Grey a good steer. So Davy finished third, beating 4 lengths, but he took keen holds, jumped really well, travelled pretty powerfully off 135 in his first start. And he was out breaking last, but he was rallying and to beat Resplendent Grey, and John Joe Newell Jr. dropped his whip in the running. I think he probably would have been second if it wasn't for that. And I think there's just a lot of that, and he'd be eligible for a lot less races than that in the future. And you'd imagine he'd definitely win a couple of them off that mark of 135. So yeah, he's gone up. He's gone up a couple of pounds. He's gone up 2 for that. I don't think anyone could realistically argue with that decision. He's won around Sandown before, so maybe he can come back there and win a kind of handicap chase. So yeah, but I thought he was a massive eye catcher, and he went off only 4-1 in the market, so they must think a good deal of him.
Yeah, absolutely. But I am going to get a couple of horses in here for the festival. We'll start with a horse that's been come out fairly quick in the market, beginning to come in because of comments by a certain Mr. Rich Ritchie last night. A horse called Willie de Whaley for the Triumph Hurdle. You can get 16-1 with Boyle Sports, so I'm going to put up Willie de Whaley for 16-1. You can obviously say, you can look at me and go, why are you tipping up a horse about 6-1 that's now out to 16s? The last 3 winners that Willie Mullins has had in the Triumph Hurdle have all been beaten before the Triumph Hurdle. Vauban was beaten by Pied Piper. Lossiemouth was obviously, you can argue Lossiemouth would have probably won if she hadn't been in the horse in front of her had absolutely annihilated her, and Masborough came on for a run. I think Willie de Whaley's better than Naturally Nimble. I think conditions just went completely the opposite way that they had to. I think at Christmas, they've already said that they're going out at Christmas. Simple reason, if Willie de Whaley wins at Christmas, he's not going to be 16-1. He's probably going to be up in East India Dock prices for the simple reason.
Back to where he was.
Yeah, and for that, I think the 16-1, just based on the history of the trainer in this race the past 3 years, I think it's too big to just not put up. Like, that's kind of it. He's 16-1. He's not 16-1.
Is one run in the market moves, but I mean, everyone worth their salt that was looking at French form that thought that this was a good thing. So they all can't be wrong all of a sudden on the back of one run.
Yeah,
it's disappointing face value, but there were reasons to be reasonably positive about he'd probably be better on a more galloping track left-handed. He probably needs softer ground. You usually get that, maybe not Christmas, but you get that New Year. So yeah, I mean, they all can't be wrong. They must still be highly regarded. Would it be for me? Not necessarily, but you can see the kind of value angle from it and he's a horse that if you want to side with, you'd have to side with him now, yes. Really, because if he does fulfill his potential, you're not going to see that price again. If he doesn't, he's just not as good, and he won't run probably. So I mean, it's one of those you've got to weigh up and the percentage call and to go for it.
And I think the other thing as well is that he's 16-1 on the day. And again, you obviously say about French form, and I totally get that. But like, there's people out here. There's people been saying like, if the Triumph Hurdle was run tomorrow, he'd be an even money favourite. I think for that reason alone, even if it was to beat half a length by Naturally Nimble, because of the hype, he's not going to be 16-1 on the day of the Triumph Hurdle. Like, under no circumstances, I can't see it unless he's got complete shambles. And
well, it's not if he runs those connections with the trainer, it won't be 16-1.
So that again,
that's the only way that could get worse is if he bombs out and doesn't run again.
Mm-hmm.
And he is exposed as not very good at all. They don't even bother trying to run.
Yeah.
Because I think if he does improve from that and show ability and wins a race of that nature before Cheltenham will go. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the kind of balance that you would strike, and these guys that have been looking at it, backing them into 6-1. Okay, maybe bookmakers have overreacted a little bit and took cover too soon, but these guys are looking at things like over the summer, like over the flat season, they try and spot these horses, and if that's the one that they predominantly landed upon, it's a good chance that that's just not hopelessly wasted information there. And usually it isn't. I mean, they've been right. The market's been pretty right in the last 3 years about Giant Fuddle.
Yeah, no, I just think it's 16-1. He's got to a price now where I'm like, right, I'm going to just go in on him and see what happens. The next one's obviously, there's a bit more kind of method to the madness with this. There was a race on Monday at Punchestown, obviously, that was won by James's Gate, who, if you remember, was a very, very prominent bumper horse 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Obviously had his problems, but he came out and won. But I was taken by the second, and I was taken with him the last day out where he got beat by Wingmen, who's going to run on Friday at Cheltenham. I think 40 Coates is now 50-1 for the Albert Bartlett, and I think he's a Bartlett horse. I think you can certainly say he needs to jump better, but it's the Albert Bartlett's one of those races, as we know over the years. If you have experience, you can certainly go off at a big price and run a big race. And I think at 50-1, I think there's a De Bromhead horse in there, I think at 25-1, who to me, like, I've got a bit of stamina doubts, where I don't have stamina doubts at all about 40 Coates. It's the jumping. I think if he gets his jumping spot on, you'll probably see him a couple of times before Cheltenham. I think he's a big, big player at 50-1 if he's managing to sort out his jumping. And we've seen it before with Manel Ando. If anybody's going to get horses jumping, it's Henry de Bromhead.
Yeah, I think up and trip, and the fact he's been beaten, he can get another maiden hurdle into his experience, win that, and then go into a graded race, and then maybe go into the Bartlett. I do remember a stable tour with Henry de Bromhead that he did mention him as a kind of 3 mile potential Bartlett horse down the line, and yeah, he could well be. And 50-1, at a price like that, you can dip the toe in the water and see where you're at. He's got one like the big Westerners one that he's got.
I think Tap on the Go, I think's the other one. Yeah.
There's also another one that won. It's not Bill Joyce. That's the other one, but it's a name like that. Something like that. It's named after a person or a fictional character. But the name
Butch Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy, yes. That's one that's interesting as well. So, but you've got a trainer there that will excel come springtime. Cheltenham gets the best there. So, yeah, and if he takes the eye out more when he wins one of these, and then goes up and trip again, then all of a sudden it could be a really good price. Yeah, but the Bartlett's one of those races where you can take flyers at that price and they can shorten dramatically. I think we've probably seen quite a few of those types at the prominent end of the market that probably stay there, and you might get a lot of value on the run underneath. To me, it's looking like one of those years where you could have 18, 20 runners in it. It looks to be one of those kind of mad years where anything and everything can take its chance, because I think there might be a lot of those types around.
Do you remember the last horse at 50-1 for the Albert Bartlett that was tipped up in this show? It was yours.
So honestly, I remember tipping up Sempo for it and Croke Park as well.
You also tipped up a certain Jerry Colombe.
Jerry Colombe, yes. Yeah. I successfully to raise that from him. I remember being at Ayr Racecourse one day, and the first 2 races weren't going well, and I then looked at the Racing Post and it had flashed up, and Jerry Colombe was out for the season, and I almost considered leaving straight away. After that, I said I don't want to see any more horse racing for the foreseeable after that. Yeah, that was tough to beat, because that was an exciting docket for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That was after his debut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Straight after his debut, Bartlett horse, and he went to Limerick, did that.
Because remember they rerouted Ginto to go to the Bartlett.
Yeah,
because of that, and obviously what happened. But
but again, that's the thing with these kind of circles, the things that come back around that can come back around. But yeah, there's no. Jerry Colombe did make it. He might not have ran his race as well. So I mean, you can never fully, even when it seems obvious, you can never 100% for certain. You never know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But we are going to wrap up the show there, Callum. It's been always a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks again.
And we will be back next week for a look as the final show before a dramatic Christmas period. Thank you very much.